I'd like to call the Northwood Board of Selectmen's meeting to order on, that is definitely not the right date.
No.
August 28th, 2018, 6 p.m. I believe that's the right date. That's definitely not the right date. We're going to do roll call. Donald Hush and I.
Beth Boudreaux, aye.
Nick, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have the right agenda?
Sure. Ms. Rule, would you like a minute to set up, or do you mind if I just keep going?
What?
Would you like a minute to set up? We'll give you a minute. We'll give you a minute anyways because we're waiting for Scott.
Thank you so
We'll
much.
give you a minute because we're going to wait for Scott anyways.
That's
It
okay.
saved you the good chair.
Thank you very much. I'm back from Maine.
Congratulations. Thank you. You were very much missed. And I mean that in the most wonderful possible way ever.
Be careful what you wish for.
Welcome.
Hey, how you doing?
You didn't miss much.
It's just
All right, we're gonna do, anybody here for Citizens Forum? Seeing none, we'll go right into our appointments. So, Jeff, sorry if I pronounce your last name wrong, Tarag?
I was born with it, I didn't pick it.
Was I close?
What'd you say?
Tarag,
Pretty close. Tworon.
R&D Paving, Inc.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Do I go up there?
Yeah, come on
not
up.
doing pledge allegiance.
We did.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Am I that late?
Not really, but a minute or two, it don't take long to do it.
How you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good. Thank you for having me, appreciate
5
it.
minutes, I
Thank
won't
you for
wait,
coming.
but I wasn't sure.
I'll give you each my card. In case you need a driver.
There you go.
I think you already have one, right?
I do, yes, thank you, Joe.
All right, so here you go. You're here, you can explain to us.
Yeah, so basically, first of all, we appreciate the work this year. You guys awarding us the work. I think everyone was very happy with the work that we did in town. It was a great project. We enjoyed it, and it was, like I said, I think it turned out real well. Basically, we gave you guys our final bill on our contract, on our bill that we sent out. There was a line item that's for the AC adjustment and our AC escalation. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew what that was and explain it to you. On our bid that we did put together, in your additional notes or additional information section, I did handwrite it and it was starred. The prices that we had given were reflecting a New Hampshire DOT price at the time of the bid of $482.50, and at the time of installation it had jumped to, I believe it's $540. Yeah, $540. And that would equate to a $2.99 adjustment in the price of the asphalt. The AC adjustment, or the AC clause on a paving contract, is a very common thing. We pave for approximately 20 towns a year. We do have that in pretty much all of our contracts, unless it's stated in a contract that they don't honor one, or usually if you put one. Like I said, we haven't really ever had any issues with it, so that's why I wanted to come and explain it to you guys. Basically what happens is the asphalt is a petroleum-based product, just like gasoline, oil.
I'm kind of familiar with it because I see that on state contracts.
Okay.
But typically in the town, and I should say we probably should have looked at the contract better. But typically we go out to bid to get the best pricing for the town. Mm-hmm. And I recall that you came in and made a pitch to us that give you a chance and stuff, which is all fine and all, but and I was happy with the work. There is also a clause on our bidding documents that says the price can't exceed $1,000 over the quote that you gave us. Did she bring that to your attention? So the way I feel is that we can go up $1,000, but in past contracts we haven't gone over that clause unless the unless the actual work was pre-approved by the selectmen prior to the.
Well, just to reiterate real quick, as far as and I understand you guys put out the bid to get the best prices for the town and everything, I get that. Just so you guys know, to honor an AC clause in the future
Yeah.
would be your best way to get your best price.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because what happens is if you don't have an AC clause, the manufacturer of the asphalt, you have to let them know if it's an AC clause or not an AC clause. So if you tell them there's no AC clause, they're going to cover their behinds, and they're going to charge $4, $5, $6 extra, typically per ton, to cover that, especially in these times right now, because it is fluctuating. Now I don't know what the situation is in the last couple of years because we haven't paid for you, but in the last couple of years, almost every town contract that we've done, after we've done, we send out our bill, and the towns have been getting a check back from R&D paving because we get a check back for the AC escalation or if it goes down. So I guess what I'm saying is that we try to give the most fair prices we possibly can. You're paying real-time prices for how much the asphalt is at the time that we put it down. At the end of the day, you know, if you look at it and compare it to any kind of pricing that you guys have gotten, especially this particular contract, even with the AC adjustment, we're still considerably less than everybody else. So I mean, it's still a good price. I understand what you're saying, but I guess I would say is our stipulation in the additional information was also on the contract. That would be, I guess I'm willing to work with it. I don't want to certainly hinder.
Why don't we split it down the middle?
Well,
Split the difference.
I was just going to say, I don't want to hurt our relationship. I certainly would love to be working and if you guys be willing to do that, I can
So
certainly.
misunderstanding will split
I
it
think
next
splitting the
year.
difference is fair, and then when you bid on a next project, we'll know that we need to adjust for that.
Either that or put in your contract no AC clause, or that you would honor an AC clause. That way everyone would know the same thing.
Okay.
Is that fair enough?
No, I'm fair with that. If you guys are fair
I'm
with that,
fair.
I think that's
think,
fair for both.
I think,
If you're okay with that,
I think there was mistakes made on.
both
Well,
parts.
we should
Mostly ours.
We should have looked at the contract closer. I'm willing to split it even down the middle.
All right.
Is that something you can work with?
I believe I can. I'm not. My name's not on the company. I think I can. What I'll do is I'll certainly bring that back to the owner, and I'll give you a call first thing in the morning. Does that work for you guys?
That works for us. We'll give Kate a call. Is that?
And I just want to make sure there's no hard feelings.
No,
with
no
that.
hard
I just want to make sure you guys don't think that we're like trying to add money to it.
No, I don't.
Uh,
This is a lot. Some of these things are new to us because I haven't seen.
We
this
did
before.
like, we haven't seen this, first off, I'd like to say I was very happy with the work. I thought Sherburne Hill came out, Sherburne Hill came out nice.
Yeah.
I was happy with the work. We did do your recommendation of using the winter binder,
Yeah.
and that was additional cost that we didn't anticipate, but we decided that makes sense to spend the
And then we
additional
got kind of
money.
hit with this.
And
So
then
it
we
was
got hit
kind
with
of,
that, so
just
it's
like
we kind of, I'll just tell you how I felt. I felt like, okay, we did the winter binder, and then we got hit with that, and I didn't feel you would like putting the screws to us, but yeah, kind of in a little kind of way. But
was just caught off
this
guard.
whole split,
Well, the winter binder.
we're probably gonna put that in the quotes going
I was
forward.
now
gonna
on,
say,
yes.
Do you understand what it is?
Yeah.
Yes,
You guys?
absolutely.
Okay. It's
Wait.
got more. If you look, you can look at the two jobs. You can
looks so
we can
much
see
better.
the difference.
Yeah.
The mix. It's a lot finer, a lot tighter.
Yeah.
Water's not going to penetrate. It's not going to break up. Especially if you're going to leave it and not top it for a while. You can leave that for 5, 10, no problem. That type of thing. So as far as longevity wise, it'll last a lot longer.
So, can we make a motion to do that if it's okay, so we could just come in and sign it, or do we have to come back in front of the board again?
We can make a motion that we will,
If it's
we will meet the vendor, and we'll split the difference with the vendor.
so that way we can just sign it tomorrow and not have to go through another meeting, and we can just take care of it if it's okay.
Yeah, the only reason it'd be a problem is
Is
if
if
he
he says
came
no.
back and
Right.
said no.
But at least we can.
But
we can
if he comes back and doesn't say no, we can approve it tonight with that condition. As long as they meet us in the middle, we can move ahead with it.
that way we can just move on and finish that project. Okay.
Okay, that seems very fair to me.
So let's make that motion.
I'll make a motion to approve. I should know this, but what's half of that?
3706.20.
So I'll make a motion to.
Am I close?
Yeah.
3706.27 or
We
something
know
like that?
we know you're Rain Man, so.
Close?
Yeah.
My calculator.
3607.
So I'll make a motion to approve additional payment to R&D paving
757 or something like that.
for. Did you do it?
No, my calculator's not coming out.
Yeah.
It's 37.
I'm a little embarrassed. I'm CPA. I should be like banging this right out.
27 or something like that.
We'll just
375627.
I said all along.
Oh, you're pretty close.
that's good, DJ. Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve an additional payment on the condition that the vendor is willing to split the difference with us. I'll make a motion to approve an additional payment to R&D paving in the amount of $3,756.28.
Second. I'm sorry.
Good second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you
Certainly
very
I'll get
much.
back to you tomorrow morning. Thank you very much.
Have a great day. Thank you for coming in.
I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Come on, Jason Lacombe. Sorry, you're up. Are you gonna set up right there?
I will if it works.
It's at wherever you feel like you want to set up is fine with us. I can turn. We can all turn that direction if you'd like. Whatever's easier for you.
So while he's setting up, I'll just kind of do a quick introduction. So since I've been working on this for probably the better part of 8 years now, Jason was kind enough to reach out to me when he heard we were kind of looking at this several years ago, and has been very helpful with me kind of move the project forward. So he's from SMP Architecture, and he's just been very good. He's always checked in with me every year, kind of, hey, where you at? You know, anything we can do. So he hasn't taken a dime from us. He's kind of done it on his good gracious. So, we had talked about a couple of weeks ago that kind of want to start seeing the complex move forward. I reached back out to Jason, and he was more than happy. He came, met with me at the station. We had a good long meeting, and I figured the best thing to do is get him in front of you folks and kind of lay it out for you to see what you think and timetables and stuff. So I'll turn it over to Jason.
Okay. So I appreciate your time. I'll try and be brief, but
No, take your time.
No, this is important.
I have a lot of questions too. So
okay. And it's a complicated topic. I will do the best I can to be clear. Is this going to work? Good. Okay. I'll also do my best to keep the sales pitch to a minimum. I mean, we're happy to be a resource. SMP, we're 35 years old. We do a lot of municipal projects. Police, fire, we do a lot of town libraries, some town offices. So we're used to this process, and really we try to be a resource for you folks. So I've met with Chief. I went back through our file. We started talking in 2014, so we're going on 4 years that we've sort of been talking and just trying to stay informed with where the town is. So tonight I'd like to focus really on two main pieces that you guys are going to need to consider. There's a whole host of other things, but they're really two big issues. One is what we call project delivery, meaning how are we going to construct the project and move forward. And the other is a time frame and some options for how you would engage us or somebody like us to move forward on the next steps. What are the next steps to go? They are somewhat interrelated, but I'll try to keep them separate just for clarity purposes. There are two main, I have some graphics here. There are two primary delivery methods that we would work with you. For the sake of clarity, I'm going to call this one the general contractor mode. This is the traditional way where the architects put all the plans and specifications together and bid the project on your behalf.
It's called stipulated sum, it's called low bid, it's called plans and specs, it's called a whole host of things. But in effect, we would work with you through the process of design and engineering. We would put all the plans and specifications together. We would do all the contract requirements, and we would manage that process on your behalf. All of that to get this person, this general contractor, on board. Is this microphone working okay?
I can hear you fine.
I can hear you.
Okay, everyone okay?
Said something.
Yeah.
So this diagram is somewhat accurate, where you would have a contract with us. Ultimately, you would have a contract with the general contractor. What that contract actually does is insert the architect between you and the contractor. We are your agent to manage that agreement. Now, obviously, that doesn't take responsibility off the town. You guys still have responsibilities for the contractor. And we work really hard to make sure those responsibilities are clear in the process. Okay? Everyone, does it make sense to everybody?
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Mr. Chairman? So, well, I'm asking. So, my question is, so, for example, if you're managing this project, do most, I assume most municipalities put up like a surety bond or something to protect the town?
Absolutely. In fact, in New Hampshire, there's a state law that requires that, where a project, I forget the dollar value, but there's a dollar value that would require it to be bonded through the contractor.
Yeah.
So that's performance and payment bonds.
Yeah.
We would also talk about bid security, so a bid bond. Typically, when we go this process, we go through a pre-qualification process so that it's not open bid to anybody who wants to throw a low price at this project.
Yeah.
And that's the risk. This process tends to be a little bit more confrontational in how it goes through, because the general contractor wants to get the lowest possible price. So they're squeezing every nickel of potential out and taking some risk. And as soon as the contract is in place, a change that you want to make or a discovered condition when they start digging a hole is a change order.
Yeah.
And that process just inherently is tough, because the town doesn't want to spend more money, the contractor's trying to build their margin, and there's all kinds of issues that we try and wade through. That make sense?
Yeah.
Because usually we're out of budget because we.
So,
Right. And there's things that we would put in place to help,
you
protect
have
the
a
town.
contingency fund? What do you recommend most towns have for a contingency fund?
It depends on the level of documentation. On something like this, depending on the site, so if we're talking new construction, we would look to an owner's contingency somewhere in 5 to 8% of the
5 to
contract.
8%?
Okay? Yeah. So let's talk about this other mode. This is what we advocate most. We've done both.
Yeah.
This is primarily what our work is. This is
You
considered...
prefer this?
It is.
Recommend
This is what's called construction manager at risk. And that's an important at-risk notation. In construction manager, we work with you to engage a construction manager during design. So while we're coming through how big is the building, what's the specifications, what's the engineering, we have a resource for the person who's going to be ultimately responsible for executing that work. They are part of the team. As part of that, you pay them a fee. On a project like this, I would say, somewhere 3.5 to 4, maybe 4.5% of the construction contract. They would go through that pre-construction services, so they would work with us, they would assess budgeting, they would help you in making decisions on building systems, on materials, to maintain the budget that everyone expects. They would then bid that project to all the sub-trades on your behalf. And after bidding, when we sit down, we would select who the bidders are. So if the town has contractors local, this method would allow you to show preferential treatment to local subcontractors. So in this method, you have no say on who your subcontractors are, because the general contractor is going to take the lowest price. So here we've got some say. It's open book. There's typically a construction contingency built into the contract. After we bid the project, we get all the costs in place. Everyone agrees on who the subcontractor team is. The construction manager will give the town a guaranteed maximum price. And at that point, they're shifting the risk from the town they're taking that risk on.
The contractor.
The contractor, to manage the project to your expectations, to the design that we put together with those subcontractors for an absolute maximum price. Here's the important thing, if I may.
Yes.
Every dollar that they save from the subcontractor or don't spend in the contingency goes back to the town. Here, every dollar that they can squeeze out of the subcontractor goes into their pocket. Okay? And it's understandable why that happens, how the contracts are set up. This tends to be a more proactive approach where if they see a potential change order, we start digging a hole and we find ledge, or we find 20 feet of stumps, both of which we found on sites. We have plans in place to try and mitigate that. That's where contingencies come in. In both cases, there's still owner's contingency, and there's still soft costs for moving and furniture and equipment and all those things. Okay? Does everyone somewhat understand the difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand the difference.
Questions on the process?
My only question is I think this is the biggest hurdle is, do you guys prepare the land, or is that something we have to buy, and then you design the project based on the piece of property that we picked to put the project on? I guess I'm kind of...
Ultimately, you have to provide the site. Mm-hmm. You know, that would be on your to-do list. And actually, I've got a board for that.
And if I may, Jason, so we kind of talked about this when we met. They will look at the sites for us and say, this one's going to cost you a lot of money.
That's kind of my question. I just didn't know how to word it.
We kind of have to
Yes.
find the land and the spaces. And actually, Jason, after we met, went back and looked at the tax maps online and sent me an email of 5 or 6. Hey, check these out. Look at these. So he's kind of already
kind of looked at
done that for us.
Yeah.
Plus the sites that I've already looked at a couple of times. Once we narrow it down to say, okay, we like these 4, tell us what you think.
Yeah.
They'll review that and say, you know, this is the cheapest, but it's going to cost you a ton of money for access or utilities or whatever.
Yeah.
This one's a little pricier, but you've got all this stuff already here. So they'll do a lot of that for us as well.
Can I ask a question, Glenn? So without getting into it, because when we get into negotiations, that's not public. These potential plots that you look at, are they available for sale? Or do we have to approach the owner?
We didn't assess it at that level.
Okay.
Yeah, he sent them to me, and I haven't been able to kind of drive out there and look. The 2 that I had in mind are not currently for sale.
Are they on Route 4? Not that it matters. Just
Most of them are on Route 4.
So we talked about project delivery, and that's something to keep in mind. The next thing is to talk about process and how we would work with you, because it's important. So we would look at this potentially in three phases, 3 steps. We have provided a proposal to work through what we would call preliminary design site study. And this is really focused on assessing the site, going through programming, so working with primarily the 2 chiefs, but usually there's a building committee involved, where we would talk about what is needed in the facility, how's it going to operate, how's it going to function, how big is it? We haven't really talked about how big this may need to be, and whether it would fit on the site, so that would be part of the assessment process. We also focus a lot on public engagement in these first few months. That's really important because nobody wants to be surprised at voting day or the deliberative session. Nobody wants to be surprised with a potential project that they've never heard of. So there's a lot of advocacy that we would do and work with the town on as the design is going. How we operate is very open. We show options. We solicit, genuinely solicit public input. So we'll hold meetings as we're going through the design. And then as it evolves, people will get to see, why are we doing this? Why is it this site versus that site? Why is it this big? Why does it look like that? So we talk about all those things publicly. And that really helps build support and help people understand.
We do a lot of public hearings.
We do, yeah. We usually do them, we've done them as open houses, we've done them as design charrettes. Usually
not called public hearings, but same idea.
Yeah, it's usually some kind of presentation and then a question and answer discussion format. We did the Tufton Borough Library. Every design meeting we had there were between 60 and 80 people in attendance. So they were really good and helpful at building that design and that relationship with the community. This whole process, I would look at big picture as what's the project definition? What are we building here? Where and why? At the end of the day, we would have a site, a conceptual design, and a rough budget. That budget would include construction, but it would also include architecture and engineering. It would include land purchase, attorney's fees, owner contingency, furniture, fixtures, equipment, moving, setup. We would try and capture all of those potential costs. So at the end of the day, you have a real feel for what your total potential all-in cost is. And that's the important number. And once it goes public, there's no going back on it. So we want to make sure it's really accurate.
So, one question that I have, could you give me, if we were to decide to move forward with developing the plan,
Yes.
a couple of the concerns I had, there's some feedback that I've got from people that I've talked to, was their concern is that the public wants to know where it's going to be built before they can feel comfortable voting on it.
Absolutely.
So, and then after that, they want a real solid number. They want a, as best we can, a number not to exceed.
Yep.
Whether
we
whether
say
it's
it's not to exceed
ridiculous
or not, once
yeah.
it's public, it's not to exceed.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's,
So my question is, would it be too? So we're an SB2 town.
yes.
So we're developing our budget right now, based on the conversation we're having here. We don't have a piece of land yet.
Would it be best for us to try to
hold off another year?
try to purchase the piece of land this year through a warrant article and then develop the plan?
Well, that's an excellent question. And that gets into what happens after this.
Yeah.
Right? So during this process, which we laid out starting next week,
Basically, what I was going to ask.
because really being SP2 means we have to, if you wanted to go for a warrant article in March, right?
Yeah.
Let's say. We need to have that warrant article done by like January 6th.
January,
or
yeah, something like that.
It's
not that far away,
the
really.
second Friday in January.
It's
I
not
think.
that far away,
Right,
really.
which really means before Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, we
So-
need to have our ducks in a row before then, at least.
We need to get our ducks in a row. Now, the question of what would that warrant article be is key in how would you move that forward. Because we've done projects two ways. We've done projects where, for instance, the Warner Fire Station, we went through this similar effort on Warner. We came up with a design, conceptual design, and a budget for the whole project. The following year, we gave them a proposal to do all the design, all the engineering, everything through project bidding. We bid the project right before town meeting of the following year. So when you went to town meeting, you had a number that was already bid with a construction manager ready to sign and get the project rolling April, I think we started April 6th. Okay? So that's a two-year, two-step process. Some towns don't want to do that because the risk is you're paying me and my team a fair amount of money on a project that the town may not want to support for construction. So that's some cost, and that's a risk. The alternative is in March of next year, you could go for all the design, all the engineering, and construction. And what that means in this phase, in this budget, is your contingencies are going to be higher. And it's really important to make sure that we've got the right piece of land, we've got the right design, we've got the right, ideally, construction manager on board to manage that process. Because bidding a project in that environment would be, in my opinion, too risky for the town.
So you would, if in your opinion, you'd go the two-step process that you said before.
We've done them both ways. It comes down to what is the town most comfortable with. Warner was a two-step process. Meredith Fire Station was two-step, where all the design and engineering was done in 1 year, and then it was bid, and then the town voted on the bid price.
So there's no there's no gray area. There's a price.
So,
that's-
so it was but also remember it was bid price plus furniture, fixtures, equipment, plus owner's contingency. So there's still all those same protections, but it's a more accurate number. You know exactly what you're gonna get, when you're gonna get it, how much it's gonna cost.
I'd like to go for the more accurate number.
I like that two-step process too.
I like the
If-
two-step
is that-
process.
I mean, is that,
You okay with it? What do you think, Beth?
Glenn?
Yeah, can the two structures that we have wait 2 years though?
Well, I think,
Well, the situation is
that's an excellent question, but I think, I'm not sure.
I think if we tried to go for the whole thing this year, we run the risk of it not passing at all, and you're still with it.
And I think I would like to hear at these meetings from the community what they would rather do, because like he said, you could run into what happened in Deerfield. They went out and bought land for 12, 15 years ago that's still vacant to this day. So in that process, you could, and I'm just picking a number here, picking 250,000 for land and his services and all that,
Then nothing happens.
and then nothing happens for 15 to never, or the very next year, who knows? But that's the only problem with that two-step process, that you're laying out a lot of money that may never come to fruition. So that's that.
So when you go to one step, you put one step, what if that don't pass? It's the same thing, isn't it?
No, because the one step, you haven't paid out $250,000 or
So you
whatever
haven't
that
paid
number
out
is.
You paid out a little bit of money.
You've paid out a little bit of money
So I
for
think,
something.
I think to
So-
Glenn's point, in order to do this one-step thing, I think we have to have a piece of property in mind and say, this is what we're looking at, to give the people at least a vision of where, like, we need to decide, I'm just gonna throw out a piece of property, we'll say across the street, just, obviously that's not where, but let's say that's where we want it. So when we go to March, and we say we're gonna do the one-step program, say this is what it's gonna cost, this is where we wanna put it, obviously we'll have a bunch of meetings up to then, and then you could do the one-year thing and hopefully it passes.
But whichever way you go, the very first step on our plan up there is land. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's
We're
the
doing
very-
nothing
that's the
without
next step
land.
we gotta do.
The
So,
very first step is sign the contract.
there you go.
Step 2 is land.
But there is.
Step two is check.
No, there are some steps. So you'd really have to think through a little bit on project delivery, because if we wanted to go construction manager, we would advocate for starting that process almost immediately. It takes 6 or 8 weeks to go through a good, request for qualifications.
I think I like this option two better.
That one,
Yes,
where
I
we
think
can
so,
actually choose who's subcontracting in case we find some locals that wanna give us some.
We've had a lot of great success. I believe very heavily in this process. I think it's a great process to go through for any.
And how many times have you done that process comparably?
I haven't kept track.
That'd be a good statistic that you.
Warner was done as a construction manager. New Boston, which we're working on, as a construction manager. Let's see. Tufton Borough Library's construction manager. Exeter Library's construction manager.
Could you get me those statistics and send it in an email?
Yeah, we could put something
do that?
together. The two big bid projects that we did were Barrington Town Hall,
Yeah.
which failed, and they've sort of been in turmoil since, and the Rye Town Hall. Those were two big projects where we did everything, neither of which moved forward. So let's just walk through. Sure, we could. You guys may want to set up a building committee early on. I think working with the chiefs to go through what are their needs, how their facilities operate. We would tour the facilities and really understand how they operate now. But we're talking about safety facilities, so how would they operate together, and where are some potential space savings that we have? Because it's really the benefit of co-locating those services. While we're working on that process, we would be expecting the town to be moving forward to narrow down that site list. If we get it to 3 or 4, we've thrown in doing that analysis of how would that building potentially fit on that piece of property and would it make sense. Ideally, for us to do that, if it's either not for sale or currently privately owned, we would be looking for some conversation or understanding with the property owner that we would feel okay designing on their land. So that could be a tough conversation, but something that we would look for the town to move forward with. Once we get that, ideally that's all done by the end of September. So by the end of September, We would have a committee set up, we would understand the program and how you operate, we would have a piece of land. We would then dive into design, and we would basically have October through middle of November to come up with some design concepts. Working with the committee, working with the chiefs, we would have usually three public meetings during that design process. The first would really focus on the need, the site, and the goals of the project. The second would focus on the building layout, roughly what it would look like architecturally. We do a lot of computer modeling, so we would show that. We do video fly-throughs, so people really get a sense of what we're proposing. And then the last one usually wraps up the design, finishes out the concept, and presents the budget for the first one.
What, am I interrupting?
No, go ahead.
What do typically on these type of projects, are they usually 15-year bonds?
20 years, pretty much the...
Is the standard?
Yeah, the exclusive.
A 20-year bond?
Yeah, 20-year bond. I assume you would go through the municipal bond bank.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, most towns don't want to handle their own bond.
No.
So municipal bond bank, they 20-year bonds, they usually do the bond sale in June or July, so the funds become available then. So there's always a timing thing after the vote where we want to just keep that in mind. Oh, sure. Sorry about that.
For 2019, it's June 4th.
Okay. That's when the sale would happen. So that means the funds would usually be available right around July.
Right.
But those are details that we would
Yeah, I was just asking.
And that would really tie in with, are we going to try and do one bond for design, engineering, and construction? Or are we going to try and do more of a two-step process? And I think that would influence not only what we're talking about in this phase and the level of detail that we go to, but also, what's the warrant article? Am I messing this up?
Batteries are just not hanging in there.
All right. Can everybody still hear me?
Yeah, I heard you fine.
It's for the recording, that's why.
Ultimate question
You're
is how much time do we have to decide which process we want to take before we need to choose a process
I
step?
believe Saturday. It's September.
I know. So if we go the one-step process, we need to decide. Obviously, we need to decide which process we're going to take relatively soon.
If you wanted to go for an all-in-one bond in March, I would say your options become a little more limited. We would really need to engage a construction manager to make sure that budgeting is really well done and accurate, because they will ultimately be taking that risk. And once the voters approve a bond, there's no going back for more money. And that's a hard and fast rule that we live by, and make sure that we manage this process so that we don't put the town at risk. And we talk a lot about that. So
your experience, because this is where it gets delicate and kind of hard.
Yep.
Your experience with towns, have you found a two-tier step, a one-step process, or two-step process more to the voters? Where have you had a better success rate? No, and all towns are different, I know, but
all towns are different. And that's a tough answer. I would say that if we did statistical, we're probably running about equal. But the challenge there is some towns aren't in a one-step process. This phase here is too truncated, so there's not enough time to really communicate the goals and the reasons to the public, and so that increases your rate of failure. And if we can have more time to talk about the design and make sure nobody's feeling like a rushed decision, that's an important piece for us. Those typically tend to be more successful when you come to voting. And that's whether it's one step or two step. We've done one step. If you wanted to do a one-step process and start in April, I would say that is plenty of time to go through a really good design process, really good budgeting exercise for the following year. But most towns don't think about stuff like that in April. They start thinking in August. So I want to make sure that you guys don't feel rushed.
I'm feeling that, I know there's a need for it, but I'm feeling that we might want to, I think there's a big risk of trying to do this in March.
I think there's a big risk doing it in March, either March, but I think we have to take the risk at some point. So whether it's-
No, we get to do this, but I think he's kind of, well, let me ask this question. Can you give us solid numbers that we can put on a warrant article for March town meeting, or is that?
For a whole project?
Yeah.
Yes, however, there'll be a fair amount of contingency built into it. So the budget, we're going through this process with Exeter Library.
Yeah.
It's roughly a $4.5 million project. Between construction and owner contingency, there's roughly $800,000 in unallocated dollars in that
Contingency funds.
contingency funds. And when you do it based on this process, you have to increase your contingencies. That's also a renovation
Because
project.
you're taking a risk because you're doing it so quickly, you're not giving the
Yeah,
proper amount of
Well,
time.
we're not fleshing out the complete design. We're not
Yeah.
doing full specifications.
See, I
Finishing
think we
work.
should flesh out the whole design.
You got it.
I mean, I'm flexible.
I want to
I'm
work
saying-
on. I want to work on it. I want to work on it forward. I don't know what we can do this year to try to build the process so that way we're slowly building it, or if we just kind of just wait and build over the whole year, just go for a warrant article, one warrant article next year. Do you get what I'm trying to say there? Are we?
Well, what my concern is that.
Where were you in April?
Yes.
Sitting in my office waiting for the call.
Well, this is kind of been.
My concern is, I know we need a safety complex.
Yes, me too.
Sure.
I know it has to be built. It's just that, did we start too late this year to put it on this year's warrant article? That's all.
That's my concern.
And,
And you're on the cusp of being too late. I would say you're not too late. But you're there in SB2 town where we really need to be done our work by Christmas. We're up against a tight time frame. But it is
This is a
possible.
project that I don't want to rush though. Either.
well, you're not rushing it. You just, what he's going to do
Yeah, I know what you're
is,
saying.
he's gonna,
Jack up the contingency.
well, he's gonna make the.
Well, we are.
We're gonna.
It's not me. It's
Yeah.
us.
When we go,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
when we
Yes.
go to town meeting, we're probably gonna ask for more money than we actually need.
Exactly.
But
I
that,
understand
because you have to have that contingency built in, because if we don't have enough, we're gonna be like, oh, we don't have enough, and people are gonna be really upset.
Yeah, and there are other ways to mitigate.
Except it's only 200,000.
It really comes down to how are we going to mitigate the town's risk and how much risk versus reward, and moving the project forward, are you guys interested in? And I would say, because I came here mainly for informational purposes, you don't need to decide this tonight. If you wanted to move forward with this process, I have a proposal.
We need to figure out where we're going.
I have a proposal to the chief that I'd be willing to move forward with. It's a couple of years old, but we'll live by that in an effort to help get it started. It's not committing you to construction manager or bid. It's not committing you to any warrant article. But that's not necessarily why I came here. It's just, I don't want you to feel pressured that you have to decide anything.
And
Scott's right. This is something that we need to try to move forward one way or the other. It's just making the right step forward for the best.
And when we met, he did come up with, we did come up with that time frame table based on, our SB2 dates.
Yes.
So, his words to me, as long as we don't drag our feet on stuff, he feels comfortable as long as we, like I said, we don't draw out decisions and drag our feet to hit our goals.
No, that's fine.
If I may, not to cut you off, I feel like if you feel comfortable that and you want to go forward and you're willing to take the risk of doing it this year, I don't know enough about it. I'll move by what you say, and hopefully it will go and pass. Because you guys have done the work, you've been with it all along, so you know if it can be done in the amount of time. I'm sure that probably can move the ball along faster. I just don't want to cut you short.
Sure.
Are you saying, let's go for it this year, and then it fails, and then obviously we can go for it next year?
Yeah, I think the two-step process I'm not comfortable with, because I don't like laying out a lot of money
I
for
agree
something
there.
that will never come. So I don't like okay, this year we'll go for land, and then next year we'll do something else, because if we lay out $250,000, $300,000 in the first step, that's $300,000 that will be out there forever that we will never see grow into anything. I think whether we do it this year or next year, I think my personal feeling is that we move forward with the one-step process.
But if we, I mean, I'm gonna throw a number out just for discussion. We're talking, if you're gonna go one step, I would imagine that these complexes are running about 4 to 5 million.
It certainly could be in that magnitude. We haven't talked about how big a facility you
So
need.
what I'm saying is, if you go to voters with, 4 or 5 million, I can see a lot of people in this town. I mean,
20-year bond though.
20-year bond.
Kind of taxing.
The way I'm looking at it is, I'm thinking of a project that between $4 and $5 million. Might too off the mark there. Should be.
It's hard to say because he hasn't said.
I'm usually a lot more comfortable with numbers, but we haven't talked about how big the facility is. But as a basis,
Well, no, but for
Kingston
discussion.
Kingston Fire Station, they're looking at 16,000 square feet. Construction cost is running about 300, high twos. So yeah, they're looking at a $4.5 to $5 million construction.
So it's a lot easier to go to town. I'm fine with going one time, but it's a lot easier to go to town saying I want to buy the land and this and that. I need 300,000. Is to say, hey, we're gonna do this whole thing. Oh, by the way, we're asking for 4.5 million spread over 20 years. I mean, I'm willing to go either way. I'm just putting it out there.
One thing to keep in mind, and I don't want to over dramatize, but the cost increase that we're seeing in the construction industry is somewhat unprecedented.
That's because everybody's working and
everybody's busy, subcontractors. So in the bid world, we have contractors who don't need to bid projects anymore.
Yeah.
Because they have plenty of work, they're overbooked. Why would they need to take this risk?
Yeah.
So they're declining to bid, and that's changing the marketplace. The cost increase that we're seeing this year over last year, depending on who you talk to, is somewhere in the 8 up to 10% cost increase this year over last year, and they're expecting it to be the same next year over this year. So, not that we want to move anything forward, but there are cost increases for not moving ahead, and that's something that the town gets no value.
This goes back to the chief's point. Let's say we go this year for property and it passes, and then next year we come and we go, say, we do the lump sum and that don't pass. Now we're stuck with a piece of property that we bought and we have.
I'm fine with going for the big tag article. I'm just saying that.
Well, obviously,
I would never go forward with a project like this.
No, I know.
Without cutting, if I felt we cut corners.
Right.
And meeting with Jason last week and going over everything, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we both felt as long as everyone stayed on track and was diligent, we could thoroughly vet this project and also deliver it for this March.
With the construction manager.
With the construction
Right.
manager. So, I mean, if I felt that
5 years? Each year?
I wasn't comfortable with it, I wouldn't
You wouldn't be here.
be pushing it forward.
13%.
What's the interest rate on bonds going for municipality right now? About 4% or?
I think they were 4.25 last year.
Yeah, this schedule is low, but I mean, they're estimating 3.1 to 5.1.
A lot better than 4.25. Usually at warrant article, they'll
Right.
give you an estimate,
Yeah.
and it's usually high.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that way no matter what we do.
I mean, you're talking. I think you're talking about a cost of approximately between $300,000 and $400,000 a year for 20 years. Like say it's 4.5. I mean, if you just took 4.5, but forget about the interest. That's like $225 a year.
On how big a project?
$4.5 million.
4.5 million. Okay.
That's not even factoring in the interest. So if you take 4.5 million and just divide that by 20, that's 2.25 a year without interest, that's just paying. And then you factor interest, I think you're talking,
About $250,000 a year.
no, probably more closer to 300,000, because you're gonna be paying a lot of interest up front until you get some of that principal paid down.
So you're talking right about 13 cents on the dollar a year, maybe 14. What was it last year when we went for the 200,000, something like that?
Well,
40 something cents,
what's the town I bought at?
$27 roughly.
Yeah, but no, this is how you figure out what's the assessed value of all, like just let's say it's 500 million. So
Yeah,
like, yeah,
I would say that's about right.
So for you're really talking, so say 500 million, and you need.
About 40 cents.
It's gonna be, no. Well, if you're paying almost $300,000 a year with interest and principal, it's gonna be more like 60 cents per thousand. So.
Yeah, but that number's only going to get bigger every year.
No, I'm not saying no. I'm just
just saying.
getting it. So
I'm
like
okay-
that's like.
I'm okay
well,
if they want to do.
If I may,
Yes, sir.
starting this process
Yeah.
it doesn't commit you to doing anything in March. You will have time to assess, is it the right piece of property? Is it the right design? Is there support in the community? Because I think that's a big factor. What you don't want to do is go through this process and then basically jump the gun and catch voters by surprise. None of us want to do that, because it fails and then there's a bad taste in everybody's mouth, and then we have to go back and talk about how can we reduce the scope of the project to bring the price down so that we can build some support. So there's really is an educational piece that we want to be genuine about, to make sure that people understand why it's needed, what we're trying to do, how long it's going to last, and to show the value to the town. And value is ultimately where it comes down to. It's not necessarily the cheapest price, but it's what's going to serve the town the best, the longest. And that's, we work through a very rigorous process to help you guys.
So I'm okay with it.
Now I feel like it's a sales pitch.
No, because it's not.
You act now.
I think.
It's and just a kind of second side subject, you know, we do have, I believe it's right around $25,000 in the current fund now for services, so.
Well, he kind of sold me on going forward by saying we can still, if we don't want to go forward with this in March, we could still push it off a year if we wanted to, if we didn't feel like we had the backing.
You would still have all the work that we've done here.
So if we didn't feel like we had the backing to throw it on an article, say we just got a huge uproar of people saying, no, we could back off and take a whole year to kind of try to smooth it. But like you said, at least it's, instead of kicking the can for another year, we're starting something. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually okay. I'm okay with
moving forward.
You kind of sold me with saying that we weren't stuck with going on the warrant.
As long as we're gonna have good numbers for town meeting.
And
numbers and a property, and if
he doesn't want to give you a sale pitch, but I will on his behalf. I already told you that what he's done
I'm okay
for
with
me,
going with that.
Right.
but also, you know, he wrote me up a proposal. I think he said it was 2 years ago.
I believe it was 16. I had to go back and look.
2016.
I forgot.
He's going to honor this price 2 years later. So
I'm okay with
good.
that.
just
Do we need to make a motion for that?
Well, you're gonna have to
Yeah,
sign
you're
a
gonna-
contract.
Well, you guys need to make a motion for me to sign the contract.
Yeah, well, what's the
What's the price?
price?
compensation for base services is $19,000.
So I have $6,000 left in that.
So you're telling me you can do the planning for this for $19,000?
The conceptual design. Yeah, so you're not, so we're clear.
That includes
You're-
finding the land.
You're not going to have engineered drawings. You're not going to have construction drawings. It's sketches. It's big ideas. We can show you some examples of what we've done with other towns and the budget. And I believe construction management, if you wanted to go that, there was a little bit added fee for us to go through
I
that
just
selection.
handed you the
You want to read it over before I sign it?
And I threw in looking at some more sites. But
Why don't we
now I
make
definitely say-
copies of this and vote on this at our next meeting?
I'm okay with that.
When is our next meeting?
It's the 13th or something?
Your next regular meeting date would normally be
The 11th,
September
but
11th.
We're not meeting because of the
because of
You have the state primaries,
voting.
so that was gonna be something
Oh,
that I
yeah,
asked
and then,
you.
from the 13th to the 20th, I'm gonna be in Portland.
Right.
So can we do one
We
on the
could-
6th, next Tuesday? I don't really want to meet next Tuesday, but.
Let's
I
meet
could.
next Tuesday, they give us a
Just
chance to
this,
review this.
nothing else.
Just to do this.
That's it, nothing else.
So let's just do this next Tuesday.
And that way we can all read it and take our time and make it.
Absolutely.
make it-
Could we do
I'm
it,
gonna-
Oh, go ahead.
If it's okay, I'm gonna take that one back,
I'll send you an updated one.
an updated one, that way you have,
Can we do what time? I'm okay with early if you want.
let's do it at 5:30. I just have one, so, just for me.
No,
Since
ask
you come
away,
to-
ask away, because
So we pay we're gonna pay,
For me too.
so this 19,000, does that come with the solid number for our town meeting and something I can show voters that?
It would come with a fully thought-through budget, both for construction, but also for the other costs. And,
So all of that right there,
okay? Yeah,
everything you have, okay.
yep.
So let's
Everything.
review this.
And so that budget, we will work through and develop that together with the chief's input for what we think, other owners' costs may be. So construction is only one piece of that, and that's important to keep in mind. And I'd be happy to show you our total project budget sheet.
I guess this is a bigger question for both of them, is if during design process, is this gonna knock down the extra money that we may need to ask for the fire station this year to finish for that project? Or do we still need all that amount of money to finish that project, no matter what we do here?
We would just go for this.
So we just dropped the 200,000 that we've already.
We're not gonna spend any money on the narrows.
So
We go
the
forward.
whole point, I thought we were gonna spend money in the beginning, when we first talked about the safety complex last year, we were still gonna do.
No, we
updates
had
in
to
there.
fix one of the stations, the station that they stay at, we gotta fix the exhaust so that they're not getting,
I thought the plan was to fix their station regardless of the safety complex. I thought that's what we had kind
I'm
of
not,
discussed.
I mean, I'll tell you right now.
I'm okay if we
I'm
don't,
not-
that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm
On
asking.
this, we're gonna focus on that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm
I'm
asking.
not, yeah, I'm
Okay,
not.
I'm only asking because that is kind of what we kind of discussed of doing both. That's all.
I don't think we, I think when you talk a project this
That's it.
magnitude,
That's all I was asking is if that eliminates that.
we'd
project.
still have the narrow station, but this
Obviously,
will
we
be
still have
the
the narrow
station,
station.
this
My
will be the
question
station
was,
that's sleeping.
does that eliminate, in other words, that 200,000 we've already raised is gonna go to the general fund and we're gonna concentrate on this?
Well, what I recommend is you take that $200,000 and you use that to reduce taxes this year. 'Cause
Well,
you're
yeah,
not-
obviously. That was my question. Anyways, I was just wanted to know, because that's obviously gonna be asked at some point. That doesn't affect you at all. Okay,
All right.
thank you very
Other
much.
questions?
Huh? Any questions?
Any other questions?
Is there any questions from the public?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Any questions from the public? Nick, anybody that has any questions, go ahead. Can you use the mic, please?
My question is, where does applying for the bond fall into the time frame?
With what?
Applying for the.
Applying for the bond?
As long as we get approval from the town at March meeting to go for a bond,
We can apply that.
you don't have to get the bond in March. You got, what'd you say, most people go in the summer, like,
If you go through the municipal bond bank, that happens usually in June or July, I think you said June.
Right.
Okay.
So that happens one time. Actually, I think they do 2 purchases for the whole state.
Yeah,
Anyway,
one in
so-
January and one in June.
Right, so your bond would be grouped in with millions of dollars of other municipal
Right, yeah,
bonds. I think they did a $150 million bond or somewhere in that neighborhood last year. So it would be approved in town meeting, and then Kate, got it, would go through the process with the bond bank to apply and be included in the purchase that they would.
because all we're
And then
getting,
funds would be available.
all we're asking for approval to go out for like the bond amount of 4.5 million.
Or whatever it is.
Whatever the cost of the
Whatever the
project
number is,
is,
yeah.
but then.
Let's not make that public just
No,
yet.
no, no, I'm just-
Whatever the number is,
Say it's $1 million,
X amount of dollars.
but then we had the authority to go out for a bond for 4.5, but that doesn't include the interest, but as long as the voters gave us approval to go for a bond
Yeah,
at that amount,
I
that's all.
understand how it works.
As we're putting the warrant article together. You'll be talking to the bond bank,
Yeah.
we'll get some estimates.
We'll have a full schedule.
And there's usually some conservative, on the bond bank's behalf. We've done enough to know, sort of, but we're not experts on that part of it. Sorry.
My only question, when we if we go forward with this, are we gonna be alerted of all your public hearings or whatever you want to call them so we can attend or other people can attend? Are we gonna try to make those?
You're gonna help schedule it.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works.
I think we're helping him a little bit.
We work really hard to hold your feet to the fire to make sure you're helping us make it a successful project.
Absolutely.
When we say we, it's we. You guys are part of our team.
We get part of that 19,000.
Yeah.
I wish. I wouldn't want percentage. I want more than what I make for us last.
And unfortunately, a lot of times managing our clients is our biggest task. But we have fun doing it.
It's like herding cats.
Sometimes.
All right, thank you. Any more questions from the audience? Go
Are
ahead.
you doing the 4th or the 6th next week?
Oh, sorry.
Fourth is-
Whatever
The
the Tuesday is.
Tuesday is the 4th.
Sorry, I just said this. I don't know why my dates are way off. I really don't even. I'll probably still have more.
What do you need from me for that meeting?
We just need, if this is your proposal that you're sticking to,
Yep.
Just need a copy of
just
that.
need copies of this for us to read through over the weekend so we have,
I'll send Chief an updated one with our current terms and conditions. I'll keep the dollar values the same.
Yeah.
We should talk about, because I do recall there were a couple
You're
of
welcome to
alternates.
come- You're welcome to come Tuesday if you feel you want.
I would only come to another night meeting if you needed me to. I'd be happy to do
I
that.
don't think we need you to. I mean, this is basically just semantics and us
How about-
reading, giving.
How about me?
Huh?
Would you like me there, or
Do you mind?
Yeah, both you and Nick, if you would like.
try and divide and conquer now?
Huh?
That'd be great. So, okay. Anything
In case
else?
you just, I'll actually take paper copies. I'd rather if it's easier
Yeah,
to read than on my phone.
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Gotta do this on the phone.
I can print them from my phone. It's just a pain in the butt.
No, I agree 100%.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did
Thank
you
you.
read this back?
Yes, please.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. We'll give everybody a chance to settle down for a minute. We're gonna go to the Ridge Station Vehicle Exhaust Extraction System, unfinished business.
So when you all decided that you weren't going to move forward with the Narrows improvement project, you asked that the company re-quote for the Ridge Station to mitigate the vehicle exhaust. And we sought out a quote from the company that bid, Clean Air Technologies. During this process, another company kind of came out and presented a quote also. They offer a magnetic grip onto the exhaust, whereas Clean Air has two options, a magnetic grip and a pneumatic grip. I had previously forwarded you.
Which one did we already?
What are the prices?
So for Clean Air Technologies, the magnetic grip was $24,400.
24,400?
Yeah. Pneumatic was $25,500.
What's the difference?
Well, one has a magnet grip and the other one gives you two
Obviously,
choices.
but what is the actual, is there one that's specifically better?
The two prices she just gave is from the same company.
Right.
Right, but is
We would
Magnetic
recommend, we would prefer the magnetic, the
I guess that's really what I was
cheaper,
asking.
the cheaper. That would be the 24, and that, for that company, would be the
that we originally went
24,000.
with? The one that you're talking
Well,
about?
Clean Air Technology was the only one that bid
Somebody else
previously.
came in after.
Yes, Air Deb.
I think we have to go with the person that bid. Even though this guy is a little lower, I think we have to go with the one that bid.
So
During the
what'd they
actual
bid,
process.
25?
For what?
24,400.
Like the magnetic one.
Clean
All right.
Air.
So
And that's
can I
under
have the
what we-
motion?
That's actually under what was budgeted, correct?
Yeah.
By quite a bit too.
Didn't you, but,
Like 35, wasn't it?
32. But we still have, with either quote, we still have electrical costs that neither one provides.
Okay.
Um,
Do you have quotes for that, or are you just gonna have?
No, because it depends on, each of them have a different size controller, so it would,
All right.
So can we move
wiring and
forward?
stuff.
Yeah, we can move forward and just, we prove this, and then when they get the electrical price, we're gonna have to prove that.
So what happens if it goes above what they have budgeted?
I'm pretty sure the electrical's not gonna cost more than.
yeah, no.
I don't have any idea how much electrical work is to do with that, but electric can be kind of expensive sometimes.
Nick, is this usable
All right, so-
again?
Yeah, it could be moved,
Okay.
both of
Well,
them
it
could be
sounds like we're
moved.
not gonna move it if we're gonna go forward with
Well,
it.
it
No,
could
this
be
is-
moved
this-
to the other, one of the stations.
Right, but this is for the Ridge Station.
Yes.
So if we go to the safety complex, we won't be using the Ridge Station anymore.
It could be moved to the,
Oh, yeah, that's
I
right.
think
Well,
Daryl helped with some of the original, that's why I brought him along.
would you need the exhaust system if we get the safety complex? Because you're not sleeping at the narrow?
Well, they're gonna be sleeping there for another year.
Yeah, you still
No,
need
not
that.
afterwards. Like, so in other words, when we shut down the ridge, sorry, Nick, I'm not trying to.
Yeah,
cut you
no.
off, But when we shut down the ridge because we get the safety complex, they won't be staying at the narrow, so you won't need the exhaust system to go from the ridge station to the narrows.
Well, you should have, we should
have
have
it
always
anyway.
had one in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as you're running trucks in and out of there and people are upstairs.
You should have one.
Yeah. All right.
Now that just,
Between the two companies, they both have some benefits. I mean, these guys have a 7-year warranty.
Oh,
These guys have a 1-year warranty. Basically, everybody that we've talked to is familiar with Climovent, this company, whereas the one with the 7-year warranty, we're not too familiar with.
I think personally,
But they are
I like
cheaper.
the fact that they're cheaper, but they didn't bid during the bid process, so we have, I don't see how we can go with
I like
somebody
the
that
7-year
didn't
warranty.
bid during the bid process. That's just the way I feel. I don't know how you guys feel. I mean, it is
Let's
cheaper.
just move on. Let's get it done. We're gonna wait and get this done.
I'm just-
We put it out
Which
to
one?
bid.
Which one do you want? We can go with
The one, put the sealed bid.
Okay. That's who he wants anyways.
Yeah.
I don't care, actually.
So let's make a motion then.
Okay, I'll make a motion to hire,
Clean Air Technology.
Clean Air Technologies in the amount of $24,400, which does not include the electrical. So I will move that for approval.
second?
I'd just like to add that's going in the ridge station, just for anybody that wants to know.
Yeah, yep.
And other than that, any more discussion?
No.
Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Um,
Is there a contract to sign?
No, not at this point.
Nah.
Is it one of those ones that can be signed by the whole board, or does it need to be signed by the chair?
Well, it'll just be a purchase order. I don't,
Can we try to expedite
You don't sign
the
a
electrical
contract
on
with the
that?
vendor to put it
So we can
in?
get that in?
You sure?
Because I don't
not
know
with
when
this
they
one,
have to
because we
freeze the
didn't put
budget
it out
for
for
short.
contract. We put it out for quote.
I like them just breathing nicely. I'd like
It
them to be
is
able to
provided.
breathe.
Okay, what's next?
Wage and classification study. We didn't want to make a decision without you on this. The last meeting you weren't here, so
Yep.
we were waiting on what you wanted to do with this situation.
So what's going on with
We
that?
got a quote back.
We received 2 quotes. One from Municipal Resource Inc. and one from Thornton and Associates. It's not too many companies that do the wage studies.
Yeah.
NHMA doesn't do them anymore.
I know.
So, 2 quotes for your review.
What are the quotes?
The municipal resource was, 2 payment, 11,300.
Okay.
Thornton and Associates,
A really nice presentation. They really outlined it all in detail.
Thornton and Associates, $7,785.
7,000,
785.
okay. I didn't see the presentations,
And
but
it
they
wasn't any
both,
presentations. It
Oh.
was just what they wrote.
Their packet.
It was just the packet stuff.
did you ever, based on your review of the 2 packets, what one did you like better?
I mean, essentially the work that they're presenting is both the same. I had the luxury of speaking with both companies. The written proposal that Thornton and Associates laid it out much more descriptively than MRI in writing. Both are essentially proposing the same work.
How many?
MRI's timeline is a little more extended. They approximate 4 months. Thornton and Associates, 11 weeks. I mean,
Okay,
it's,
so then my next question would
So
be,
we're not gonna have it done by budget season anyways.
well, I mean,
well, my
11
next
weeks.
question is,
Mhm.
how many towns is Thornton Association? How many, who's, I want to hear like what their experience is.
I believe they sent along.
Page 14.
Yep, page 14, Tufton Borough, Epsom, New London, New Durham, Wolfboro, Sanbornton, Warner, Meredith, Alton, Pembroke,
So they've done all those
Swansea.
towns?
Yes. And then several out of state also.
Did you reach out to any of those towns to ask them?
I have not at this point. I did speak with Epsom. I had originally asked her for a copy of her wage scale, the town administrator over there, and that's how I got wind of Thornton and Associates.
Were they happy with?
Yep.
So, well, no, you know, what I was thinking is, you have the wage study done. Well, you gotta,
I didn't get the rest of it.
would we have these,
The last
Oh, is it?
would we be able to get these numbers before budget?
I mean,
11 weeks, right?
11 weeks, we would
Yeah, but-
have them
You put it in the warrant article.
at the
I know,
tail
but I
end
gotta
of
be honest
budget.
with you, I don't know if I'm gonna, we can do a wage study and jump, and they're gonna tell us that we need to jump everybody's wage, but.
Well, I can tell
don't
you
feel-
right now
I'm not
that-
sure if I feel comfortable jumping everybody's wage without doing some different, what's the word I'm looking for, some job description changes, because,
That's what they're
That's
hiring
part
them
of
for.
it.
no, I understand, but
I mean, each company will update the job descriptions. You may find employees that there's no wage change that warrants.
I gotta be honest with you. This town right now,
oh, they're all.
going out and doing interviews and stuff, trying to hire people, we are not, and it's not about being competitive.
We're not competitive.
We're not even in the market.
It's
We're
not-
going out,
there's no change.
I think we need the wage study, and, doesn't mean we have to approve it this year.
Right.
I'm not saying we don't need it, I'm just saying that there's
So
a
why
lot
would we
of
wanna
options.
move ahead and get the
I
numbers
said we
that?
could-
I liked Thornton's, it was a little bit cheaper, but it was really detailed. It has a plan. I was asking for a plan.
What do we have, what's in the
Do
budget?
we have the
for it?
money to do that this year?
I mean, our contract services line is already overexpended. However, as I stated previously,
How about the overall budget?
the town administrator salary line is going to have a surplus in it this year. So,
I mean, 'cause
11,000.
We were asked,
11,000.
we were asked 2 meetings ago for some money for a laptop for the trustees of trust, whatever it's called. Are we gonna be able to do this?
Yeah,
right
the
now?
little laptop for the trustees. One laptop, right?
Yes.
It's 700, that might be $700-800.
I know, but I think we told them it was depending on whether or not in the budget.
Right, but what she's saying is, we have the money for this out of her salary line.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'd like to make a motion to move ahead with hiring Thornton and Associates in the amount of $7,785.
The second that.
Any discussion? Call for a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Give them a call tomorrow, and I will have, I'm not going to rush to prepare the purchase orders for all these things, so I will have them here for signature tomorrow.
Do we have any, I'll make a motion, wait, I wasn't here the 14th, was I?
The 21st is just mostly non-public anyways.
Well, that was the interviews. I can't vote on the 14th, I wasn't here.
I'll make a motion to accept the August 14th minutes as read.
I second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 2-0.
One abstention. I'd like to make a motion to approve the August 21st meetings as written.
A second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0. Any assessing and applications and all that good stuff?
Yes. Just one assessing.
I'd like to, just a report of a timber cut, map 228 lot 1, map 223 lot 1. And it's just a report of the timber cut. I move that we approve that.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0.
I do. Sandy Garrett is on vacation next week, so she has prepared this week's payroll and also a small vendor run.
Okay, I'll do two motions then. I'll make a motion to approve the payroll register P 2018 number 18 in the amount of $91,101.04.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0.
And then, well, that goes with that, I guess. I'd like to make a motion in the amount of $449,468.54 to approve V 2018 number 19. This is the final AP check register. And $400,000 of that is for school payment.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 3-0.
Three purchase orders.
Okay, I'll make a motion to pay the second half of the 2018 donation to the Northwood Lake Watershed for the Aquatic Species Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund.
Second?
Any discussion? Seeing none, call for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is this the,
That's the money for their...
I understand what it is. Is this the last one though? We've
Yeah,
done,
it's the second
we've done,
one.
I know, but
Right.
we've done Pleasant Lake and the other ones too. I know it's the second one for this
They
one, but
come
we
in
need the
and
second one
ask
for
you.
all the other ones?
Yeah, we haven't got a request in. We just received this request in from Northwood Lake.
So, I got a vendor, East Coast Compact. I'll move to approve East Coast Compactor Corp. to replace the rotary phase converter and power unit, the amount of $4,150.
I'll second for discussion. Is that coming out of the transfer station expendable trust fund?
Yes, which I neglected to change the account number on the purchase order, and I apologize. I had originally thought it would come out of the equipment and maintenance budget line, but Sandy informed me later this afternoon in conversation that it should come out of the transfer station. No, I don't have the account number in front
Well,
of
you
me.
can make the motion, we can just sign it tomorrow.
I want to make a motion that this amount also get paid out of the transfer station expendable trust fund.
Second.
So, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we just can't sign that one.
Thank you.
I also, is this also for, oh no, this is means, I'd like to make a motion that we place 2 defective fuel injectors in a VGT action, actuator on the 2006 dump truck, the IH International 7400 dump truck in the amount of $3,350. I have some questions.
Yep.
This has already been done, right?
No, it has not been done. It was previously in for service.
So he's over expending this line. Is there money in the budget to pay for this?
He's going to have to really look at the highway administration budget to see, because this expends this line. We still have to get vehicles inspected.
Andy just used money to pave something else too out of his budget.
Well, that's out of the paving line, so or the paving budget, which is two separate budgets. So I think he's really going to have to.
In the future, I'd like to have, when a paving budget, I'd rather see it go towards the roads.
Did he get, I'm just asking a question. Did he have all the work done at Burgess, or did he look at various, like, did he go out and get a couple quotes on
Yeah, he called around for other quotes and none submitted. The vehicle's already at Burgess for the other repairs, so that's why he's putting this one forward.
Replace two defective fuel injectors and a VGT actuator or whatever. Yeah, long.
My question is that the truck that we're going for a new one this year? Aren't we going for a new truck this year?
I think we are. To be honest, I don't know whether it's the dump truck or
But
not.
they're gonna need this truck to do plowing.
I understand that. I'm not saying that we don't get it fixed, I'm just saying
We still have to get
fixing that.
stickers. We still have to get stickers and what else can happen between now and then.
Well, and at this point, we have no vehicle to truck material to other roads in town where we have road work that needs to be done.
Anything else we want?
Sure, so we gotta fix the truck.
I don't think we have a choice.
Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have to do some roads ditch.
He did seek out quotes. Charlie did seek out quotes for paving on Harvey Lake Road and Ridge Road. Apparently, they're both in poor condition. We did receive two quotes from
Well, how much money do we have left on the paving line?
of about 67,000 in the paving line, minus now what you're
Oh, wait
going
a
to pay
second.
towards.
Okay, go ahead, I'm sorry,
Yeah,
finish what you were
you-
saying.
minus what you're going to pay towards R&D paving currently.
So 67,000.
About 60,000 by the time we're all done, roughly.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, so what exactly are we getting done on?
Harvey Lake Road, approximately.
This is in addition to the work we've already done.
This is.
This would be additional projects.
Right, additional projects. So shim and overlay on Harvey Lake Road and Ridge
Is
Road.
that using winter binder?
It does not say.
We need to go back with those quotes before we do anything.
Do you want
Here's
winter
my
binder?
question. Yeah, I think, well, if
Yeah.
we're putting down the winter binder,
Okay.
all right?
Yeah.
And number two, what's the price of that quote there?
Well, both of these include the AC clause that Jeff from R&D was just talking to you about, so the price could change. They're approximating right now, R&D is quoting $128 per ton.
Yeah, but how much is the whole project gonna cost?
Approximately $20,000 from R&D, approximately
For both roads?
$16,000 from advanced paving.
But we don't know if they're gonna use the winter binder.
Neither one indicate using winter binder.
We need to go back out and get quotes,
We need to
making
go
sure
back
that
out.
we say that we want winter binder.
So what, can you, just so I know, what part of Ridge Road is he paving?
I just have a section.
What's the section?
What number to what number?
Well, it doesn't give me, on their quotes, it does not give me a number. But it's approximately
It's only like
I gotta ask a
like a
question.
2-mile
So
road
he's
anyways.
not, they're not tearing it up, they're just gonna overlay stuff over it?
They're gonna shim it and then overlay it, so they're gonna,
Have the machine go over, rip it up and?
right,
Like they did on, Sherman Hill?
right,
Fix the bad spots.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's only where it's needed, and he didn't give me addresses or
So I guess
anything
my
like
next
that.
question, I guess I need a little more information. What are the roads that we plan on doing next year?
We haven't gotten to that.
So my point is, are we back to like doing Ridge Road? You see what I'm saying? Like,
I
if
mean,
we,
are
we gonna be, when are those roads up to be replaced?
I can look into that.
You know what I'm saying? So I'd like to know, just because before I spend any money, I'd like to know what roads we're doing next year. If these roads are 3 or 4 years down the road, and we need to patch them up, that's one thing. But if they're on the list for the year, next year, or the year after that, I don't see why we don't just wait.
I can look at the road plan and get that
You
information.
could bring that in on the 6th, right?
I'm in no hurry for that. I think there could be some other roads that may need more.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Well, I'd like to know
Everybody
from where
has
to
their
where.
own
he's-
opinion.
Yeah, I wanna know exactly point A to point B.
Okay,
I
so
mean, I
just
can-
be able to do like this house number from this
Right.
house number to this house
Right.
number.
What else you got?
Like how many feet is it?
Would you like me to have Charlie in to come talk to you about
Sure.
some
I'm doing
road concerns that he's having?
7.
Well, I don't want- okay.
355.
I'm speaking for myself, but I don't, we're having an extra meeting on Tuesday
I
just
don't
to
need, I'm all
focus
set.
on. Yeah, I don't need Charlie.
Okay.
I just need to
Right.
Just need the information.
Just need to,
I know he's been getting a lot of complaints about Harbor Lake. I did see that on Facebook.
Yes, he
But-
has. I haven't gotten any here at the
I-
town hall, but I have the,
And I haven't been down that road, and I know it's probably bad. There's a lot of bad roads, so I guess you fix one, you're gonna have somebody else complain, why didn't you fix my road?
there are several in town.
Oh, well, I'm not worried, I live on Route 4.
he already signed it.
Right, that was from last week. You guys had wanted
Oh,
the,
I read the audit opinion.
By the way, I did get the email, and you did get it too, you just didn't read it. I found it after, when she said the date.
I did get the email.
No, there was 2 back to back.
Well, whatever.
It did come, I'm just saying, we did get it. It just didn't get
Okay,
read.
DJ, I read
You
it.
get lots of emails.
Hey,
I read mine, but I didn't know what I was looking at, honestly.
hey, remember I came in here and made a change to things?
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying we did get the emails.
All right, so I read the auditor's opinion,
We got,
and I'm fine with you signing it.
we'll make the motion then. I'm just saying. we
You don't
got
need
the
a
emails.
motion.
Saying we got the emails.
We got a clean audit opinion, that's all I
On
was
the 11th
concerned about.
of July. I found it out after I was told that's what date they were. And I did read them, I just didn't have no idea what I was looking at.
Well, I do, and I read them and I was happy.
I know, but they were actually there on the 18th for you to, on the 11th.
I
of
read
July.
everything and
It's
I
the same
didn't.
one that she sent you the second time.
I
It's the same email.
specifically asked her when I went in the office, was the auditor's opinion, and she said it wasn't ready yet.
Well, I'm just telling you, it's just the email that she sent you the other day is the
Just
same
let it-
one.
Anyway.
Leave it alone.
It's the same one I got on the 11th. Same exact one.
What else you got?
the board had previously had me put out some town-owned properties, non-conforming lots, out for sealed bid. I do have 1, 2, 3, 4,
Non,
5, 6, 7.
wait, these are non-conforming?
Yes.
Is it, so it's not a buildable lot?
So they're not buildable lots, so they were put out to abutting properties for merger only, and we have 6 that submitted.
Property. 6 different properties or one for each property?
It's 1, 2, for 5 different properties.
I think we need to open them and read them into the record and then do some sort of graph so we have a chance to actually
Sure.
look through them.
Yep, can do that.
You got a slicer?
I don't, I didn't bring it with me.
Okay, hand me the stack, I'll start doing some more. Now you're doing that one.
Here you go, Scott.
So these are all, These are all different
Trust me
properties.
with this?
So this
I think
is
we have a paramedic in the house.
map 122, lot 30. I got a bid for $28,632.
Can we just give an address for that, if that's okay? If it's all right?
Sure.
Just because I don't know the lot numbers.
It's town property at Shore Drive, map 122, lot 30. Do you know the address?
It does not have a street address.
Just so that way if somebody
Okay.
asks, because not everybody knows the map and lot
And
numbers.
that, okay, and then,
Was that these?
No, that's a different one, I think.
122.
Maybe, I don't know.
You should have two.
all right, this one is, you know what we should have done? I'm sorry. You don't know what the bids are for until you open them.
Right.
Okay. I have a bid for 24 Oak Street, town tax map 122, lot 94, $3,500.
Kate, can I ask, are these the actual lots on here that you're?
Yes, that I have highlighted, because I did have them notate the map and lot on their
The one
envelope.
right here, the ones that are bid on right here? Are these the
Okay, this
the
one
ones
as
you have
well.
highlighted, the ones you have bid?
Yes.
This is,
All right, I have, to whom it may concern, I'm writing a letter. Okay, map 117, lot 12, $500. Okay, from Jeremy Dobson. Okay, this one is for town-owned property on Pine Street, referenced on the town tax map, 122 lot 73. He's offering $2,100 for map 122 lot 73.
Oh, okay. This one,
Okay.
When you do the graph, can you put next to it what the town's assessed value is too, so we can kind of compare?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is Shore Drive, tax map 122 lot 30. He's making a bid at 20,000, so we already got a better bid than that. So that's 20,000.
I think we need to review them all before.
Yeah, no, I'm not making a decision tonight, but. Then they received a letter for, 24 Oak Street, town map 122, lot 94. I don't know. This is from Fine Homes by Blue Builders in Londonderry, New Hampshire, $22,551.
I have a weird question. Why would the builder be bidding on it? If we can't build on it, why would they bid on it?
Yeah, they own the abutting
They own the
property.
abutting property.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Means they're probably gonna wanna build on it.
Well,
After they merge them.
they're gonna merge after they merge them.
He already built 2 houses right next to that lot.
Uh, 24 Ash Street, tax map 122. I got Tanya LeBlanc and Brandon LeBlanc put a bid in for $1,000.
That's it?
And that is it.
That is it.
So while we're on this subject, are we any closer to picking a real estate agent to put the ones up to bid that we need to have one of those?
To be honest, it is on my to-do list, but I have not sought out a realtor at this point.
What else?
while you weren't here that meeting, you decided you don't have a town realtor, but I thought it was best that we went out of town for a realtor because to keep the transparency of not having a town realtor sell town property. Because it can create some sort of.
Oh wait, what do you mean a town realtor?
So in other words, I don't want somebody that is a realtor in town selling town property because it can create the perception of giving somebody some inside information that may want that property. Whereas if you have, say, somebody from Epsom come sell a piece of property in Northwood, they're going to have no ties to it. They're going to try to sell it to whoever wants it. It's just a thought. I mean,
That's fine.
and then we have a lot of realtors in town. If you pick that one, it's going to say, well, why'd you pick this one and not me? Just go out of town. You have none of that issue.
Do you want to revisit this on the next Tuesday meeting or the
What
meeting
is it?
following?
I don't really want to have a next Tuesday meeting, but let's just do it just for that. Just what we need to come in for.
I don't blame you there. We have a resignation of a library trustee. Alternate.
We're going to have a month of meetings. We've got plenty of time to make that decision.
I accept the resignation of Lorna Patty from the library trustees with regret. I'll make that as a motion.
I would just like to thank her for her service.
Definitely.
Other than that, we'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Pittsfield Selectmen have asked to preambulate the town line. They're asking for the select board to.
What their point? Kate, what point you?
Lucky me. How I love preambulations.
Oh, these are some old ones.
1998.
Virginia Noel, Mary Mellis,
When does that have to be done by?
Dr. You weren't even on this one. This was before you.
That's before me. That's like a long time ago.
1 year. 98.
there is no deadline. I mean, we could potentially get it done this fall, weather permitting. And if you'd like me to just go around with them and do it, I certainly can. If you want to be there for it.
Are the selectmen doing it?
Yes, likely.
Just come up with some tentative dates.
Yeah. Is there any particular dates that work for you guys?
Well, as you know, I'm not. There's that one, the 13th to the
Right.
20th. I'm gonna be out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. I mean, we're pretty booked in October.
Right.
Well, that'd be probably something you do on a Saturday or something, right?
I mean, it
We'll work
really
on
depends on
Saturdays.
what your schedule.
I do.
I'm kidding around.
See? Some people have real jobs.
We have to walk all these roads with them?
Yes. Typically,
Yeah, whatever, I
the
guess.
points are not too far, too hard to find.
I can have
But
somebody sit in for me.
What are you doing this Saturday?
Well, I think we just gotta pick a date, right?
In there.
yeah, I mean, they indicated that they'd like a couple dates to choose from. You want to get back to me with potential dates?
Yeah, I was thinking only bad.
If it's on a Saturday, as long as it's in the afternoon, I can do it. I'm not overly.
Yeah, let's do it
Fairly
on
flexible.
let's do it on primary day.
I'm very flexible.
Secretary of State will love that.
I'm gonna need a letter from him too, by the way.
There are a couple Saturdays I can't do it, we have baby
Oh,
showers.
we can do it any day after noon or whatever. It's just whatever. We can figure out a day that works for all three of us. It doesn't have to be a Saturday, it can be a whatever day.
I mean, it's not getting dark till later, so.
Oh, I'm not available on Saturday too.
Okay.
All right, what next?
NHMA has their annual legislative policy conference. I had sent it to you guys a number of months ago at this point. The conference is September 14th, 9 a.m. The town can the town can appoint a delegate to attend.
Does it have to be a resident of the town?
It should be, what would they recommend?
We should send Rebecca Wool.
She was in Maine all summer, she should go for us. What?
Selectmen, or town administrator, or administrative assistant.
Would you like to go?
I would normally like to go, yes, however, I will be in Canada.
I didn't sign that approval. So.
I know I can't go. I've already taken a day off for elections.
When is it? Oh, I won't be here. I'll be in
Yeah,
Portland, Oregon.
Friday,
I have an
September
administrative
14th.
assistant. Would does Sandy classify as administrative assistant technically? No. Not really.
She is an administrator.
See if Linda Smith will go. Could we send Linda Smith? She might be interested in doing it.
Okay, we can ask. If the board doesn't have any specific position on the items before the legislative,
What do they have?
they have several things. And you don't necessarily have to send a delegate.
I don't think we sent one last year.
To lower the interest rate, 6 to 4%.
I support that.
On what? For what?
On the abatement.
Oh, I want that's right.
Yeah,
Or everything.
is that it? Is that one thing?
Outdoor watering restrictions.
Yeah.
Support a bill that would clarify site evaluation committee that does not have jurisdiction over use of municipal roads by merchant utility companies.
Really?
Yeah, I don't see anything. Okay.
So I can ask Linda and then I can get your input on the legislative items that will be before NHMA. Thank you. And that's all I have for miscellaneous signatures and approvals.
Town administrator's report?
Hasn't she been reporting all night?
Do you want to go?
I don't really have anything.
Do you have anything? I got a bunch. I'm gonna let her go first.
Okay. I have some things also.
Maybe she can knock off a few of mine before I say it.
So the next meeting date, we're saying September 4th. New Hampshire Municipal Association can put on a right to know workshop for the town for approximately $500. I asked for a quote from the town's attorney. They were approximately $700. Is that something that the Board of Selectmen would like to put on? It was,
I'm very familiar with the right to know law.
right, at the joint workshop that you all had, it was an item that other board and committee members seemed interested in.
Do we have money in the budget for that?
There would be money in the employee volunteer appreciation line that could potentially be used.
We appreciate you so much again for workshop.
If we're not gonna use it for.
If we're not going to use it for,
For a Christmas party, since we didn't have a
Right.
barbecue this year. I mean, actually.
It's
have a-
$500.
it's
have a real Christmas
$500.
party that we
I'm
used
fine.
to have.
I'm okay.
How much do we have in the line?
We get it from somewhere else? Because I really think we need to have a real Christmas party
You
this
know
year.
what? I'm gonna, I would like, before we spend any more money, it's almost, it's gonna be September next week. I would like, you and Sandy to go through the budget and identify what areas we have money available that we could spend on,
Certain things.
Yeah.
certain things.
And we have done this,
So you have $500.
Primarily. Not outside of the employee volunteer
I say we
appreciation
don't have
line.
the money, we don't do it.
Would it be something that you would like to budget for in the coming year?
Yeah,
Good.
Okay.
but it looks like we're getting tight on money.
It's a great idea.
Yeah. And it was one item that, you know, multiple members indicated that they were interested in. So, the town currently pays $1,000 a year for MapGeo. CAI Technologies, who prepares our maps, came in to pitch their program for tax mapping and tax cards online. Has very similar features to MapGeo. It has some additional features that MapGeo does not have. Linda, the board administrator, and Susan would like to switch to CAI. They would like to budget for it in the coming year. I told them that I would get a general sense from the selectmen if this is something that you're interested in. The initial setup cost is $1,500, and then the annual fee is $2,400. So it would be an increase,
35.
right?
Budget's gonna go up like
They
crazy.
said that Deerfield uses that. And
Yeah.
the last planning board meeting, they give us a little demo.
Right,
And it does have a lot of features that we don't have.
right.
I don't know how many of those features they'll actually utilize.
Is this a budget request? How are we gonna put in a budget request? They just have to be able to justify.
Right. They just wanted to see if you had a general, you know, if you were adamantly, no, we're going to stick with MapGeo, then they weren't going to put it forward, but,
I'm lukewarm.
okay.
I could go, you know, I need more, when I hear that pitch, why they think they need it.
Got it.
What does it have that they need that we're missing right now?
You know, what are they gonna do?
Um,
What will they be able to do
Yeah.
that they can't do now?
I know that the big thing is the tax cards online.
Well, I know a lot of people want the tax
Right.
cards online.
Right. I mean, that's the big thing.
So if they can provide the tax cards online, is that stuff that the assessor puts in or?
Yes, that is from Avatar. So CAI Technologies will pull Avatar's tax cards right online. Yeah, and it's just an administrative function to transfer the data every so often to keep that current. Users can, outside can currently seek out the information. It's not, the information's limited and it's not in the format that the tax cards are in, so they're not typically used to it. So, but I can certainly have Linda come in, and if you'd like a representative from CAI Technologies to come in, you know, I can certainly arrange for that during the budget season.
I also need to take this, so.
Oh, okay.
Last time we got
Stephen Schultz from Gulf Road reached out again to me regarding the potential for speed bumps on Gulf Road.
You missed that.
Would-
You weren't here during.
But how you gonna put speed bumps, okay,
They're removable for the summer.
Wouldn't that be, if someone didn't know the speed bump was there and they hit the bump and they went off the road, are we liable for
I'm
that?
not gonna put speed, I don't wanna put speed bumps on golf.
I don't think we need them
No.
either, but,
No.
I mean, I
Well,
think we just need
it's
to
not a private
control it.
road, it's a
We need to
public
Is it on a private road?
No, it's a public road, so
Yeah,
I don't know
no.
if we can do that.
But we definitely need, I think, Mr. Turner made a really good point. We definitely need to start looking into an alternative exit to that road.
The Board of Selectmen did that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we need to revisit that process, whether it's a grant, whether it's whatever it is, we need to figure out an alternate
Yep.
exit to that road. That's gonna cure a lot of these issues that we're having, and theoretically, it's almost basically there anyways.
Mr. Schultz did go to the police commission meeting, the last police commission meeting, and did bring up his concern about speed. So the police department are
I
aware.
have noticed them over there quite a bit more.
Yep. So they're certainly taking action on their part. So if you're not interested in moving forward with speed bumps, then I'll just inform
I think we
Mr.
need to
Schultz
just
that
put it
we'll,
off for now.
just focus on speed control by the police department.
While we're on that subject, not to cut you off, did you get that rock back in place?
No, Charlie has reached out to the surveyor and they're scheduling a time to go out there. They were hoping to do it this week. The property owner of 25 Gulf Road would also like to be there, so they're trying to coordinate with all three schedules to get that done. The center school and the town hall have had some roof leak issues. So I would like to call a couple of roofers to try to get some quotes on what it's going to take to repair the issue here. It's not constant, but it's in those heavy driving rains that it leaks right above this doorway right here, and creates a potential slip hazard. We had an employee that did slip, thankfully did not hurt herself. And then the center school has that sort of musty, moldy smell. I do see some patches where the roof is leaking. So I'd like to get some quotes and potentially add it in the budget for the coming year.
I'm more concerned with the town hall than, I mean, obviously we gotta fix the center school, but we're not using it at this particular moment. But I think we need to fix what we're using at this moment.
But I don't want to have it get worse and worse because we didn't fix it. So, I mean, if you can get a bid, we could see.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to get quotes.
Wouldn't you put it in that warrant article to fix the facilities committee?
No, I'm not saying we can't do it.
No, I'm saying wouldn't go in the operating budget, would go in the
Right.
facilities committee.
It's be part of their budget.
Yeah.
As part of the trust. Right.
I know, on that subject, I know Steve Bailey had talked about possibly, I don't know if it's feasible, but possibly having the prisoners do the roofing at one time. He had thought that they could do it at one particular time.
I know that he was gonna have, and it might be happening this fall, was going to have them do 2 roofs, but I believe it's for the.
Yeah, I know, I'm just saying maybe that's an option for these roofs too.
And it's a possibility. I'm always concerned with their liability to a certain point. I mean, I know that they're covered, but, to send them into potentially, I think we need to balance what can be done. So, I mean, it is an option, and we can certainly talk to the corrections officer who manages them. One of your transfer station attendants has been picking up the slack while we're down a person at the transfer station. He will be out of town this weekend though, so that will leave only one person at the transfer station
Charlie or Pete's gonna
over
have
the
to cover.
weekend. And I don't know that either one can do both days. I mean, there is the potential that, I think Charlie indicated he might be able to do one day. I don't know that we have coverage for a second day.
We're gonna have to have
can't open with one person.
Well, I mean, it's Labor Day weekend. People have family obligations.
We open that with one person. He has to have somebody else there. He can't be there by himself.
You reach out to Charlie and Pete and see if we can get coverage.
Or somebody that's on town payroll that wants to cover. It doesn't particularly have to be them. It could be anybody that's on town payroll that wants to cover.
I'll see if anybody's available. The new swap shop.
I was gonna hit on that.
Yeah. Vina Dow had stopped in and she had indicated that she might have somebody willing to donate spray insulation. She might have somebody willing to paint. We would like to get it up and running.
We just need to get it, or we need to set a date that they need to be in there by, and if they're not in there by that, we lock the other one and they're out of luck.
Right.
Basically, she's dragging it out until she gets it finalized to the Grand Taj Mahal that she wants. That's what she's doing. She's dragging her feet. She's already said it numerous times to me, I'm not opening that until I get what I want. Well, she don't control when it opens, it gets opened.
So, but if she has volunteers willing to do it, does it cost us any
Yeah, I
money?
know, but they're putting in the spray insulation. But then they're gonna come to us and say, we want the walls, the floor.
What was the painting?
The painting was for the exterior.
Why do we gotta paint the exterior? It came painted.
I don't know.
Is it painted or is it painted?
It came painted. It's all, it's basically, it came as a brand new shed.
I might be mistaken.
It's been,
She indicated painting and spray foam.
huh?
The prisoners painted.
It's been painted. It
It is
comes
painted.
painted. It's a
I mean,
swap shop, not a
although
house.
if it is the exterior, you know, that's not going to hold up using the property. I would suggest
Setting a
Friday,
date,
September 7th.
They need to be in by.
I mean, I know that they're not, the transfer station's not open on the 7th, but
I was willing to give them 2 weeks, but if you want to make it the 7th, I'm fine with that too.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna give them till the next meeting to get it done.
well, and I know that she had been reaching out to the individual who indicated that they would donate the spray foam and then was not getting a response. So, I mean, this might put the pressure on. If you want to go 2 weeks.
No, I'm all right with the 7th. I think that if you want to make it the 7th and have them, basically they need to be either moved into that building or the other building shut down, one or the other
Well,
by the 7th.
you know, I'm concerned about the old swap shop because the floor,
People are falling through it.
right, the floor is
That was the
not
whole
in
point
good
of getting
condition.
it
So,
Nick, you want to burn that?
yeah. So are you guys okay with the 7th?
Yes, and then can we have it taken down by maybe the end of the
Voted
month?
on the 7th with whatever's in it.
Or, I mean, that might take a little bit longer. I'm okay if that takes a little bit longer, but it already looks way better without that other piece of junk up there.
Yeah, I mean, I know that Joe and Charlie are really eager to get that older one gone.
Well, that was
yeah.
it's been since
Right.
February we started doing
Right.
it. You were on the board at that time, weren't you, Rick? When we actually bought it?
What's that?
When we actually bought that swap shop, weren't you on the board at that time?
Yep.
The transfer station gate is being installed, and it's underway. If you want to go take a look,
I have a little concern with that.
okay?
And again, it's not done, so I maybe just that it's not done. But it looks like, and this may be something that we can add on later, it looks like the way they have it now, when it opens, and when it opens this way, then it's gonna stop, and that's where the fence is gonna stop. You can get around it by foot. So my concern is it still kind of doesn't really defeats the purpose of keeping them out of the salt, which isn't really why we did it. But maybe, obviously we can put it in the budget next year. I don't see why we have to hire it out. We can just run a fence the rest of the way. Even if it's just chicken wire fence, just enough to keep them out.
Right, and
They don't look like they're going to go all the way to the woods, which is kind of what we thought, but I didn't think they were going to either.
No.
But
yeah, and I had some questions and concerns when I went down and took a look at it, and like you know, I said, well, it's not done yet, so let's see what it looks like. I did talk to Charlie Pease about potentially putting,
we'll make Jersey barriers.
you know, rocks or, you know, Jersey barriers. He indicated he doesn't have any available right now, but there are some really rather large rocks
What
that
happened to the
could.
ones that we took out when we did the new guardrails? On Genesis Pond, or,
I'm not sure. He indicated that there were several being used at the transfer station.
yeah, we used a bunch for the glass pit, but I thought
Right.
we had gotten new ones when we put up the new guardrail last year.
And I'll have to, I can follow up with him about that. You know, if we don't have anything like that available, we did talk about, you know, there's several large boulders that's pushed back
Just
towards the
enough
shelf.
so they can't get through it.
And it might be a temporary means to block off vehicles from going around that area.
And then my other thing is what's the startup time for that? Because I know it's going to be a little bit of a process of getting all the vendors a code. Are we going to do one universal code to the vendors, or is each vendor going to get its own code?
We have not decided at this point. You know, whether we're going to do one for just the plow contractors or one for each one's individually.
We got 4 extra, the way I look at it, we got 4 controllers right now that Charlie can have, because Nick doesn't want his, the chief
Right.
doesn't want his, they just want a code. And we had already planned on them having 2 anyways. And one at the transfer station and one at the town hall.
Right.
So how many drivers do we normally have in the winter for plowing?
I mean, I'm not sure how many drivers, but I know it's
So
four
if we have
contractors.
We have 3 to 4 contractors.
So if we have 3 or 4 contractors plus Charlie, so that'd be 6 total drivers, or 4 total?
Well, you got Charlie and Pete.
I understand. I'm asking how many total vehicles. Like, so in other words,
Well, so-
I think personally we should buy enough clickers so the plow drivers can do it from their truck, and at the end of the year they hand them in. We have 4 now, so if we got 6 drivers, including Charlie and Pete, that means we need 2 more. That's what I'm asking.
Much better clickers.
That we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the individual costs for them at this
Can't
point.
think they'd be much more than a garage clicker.
Yeah, my point is if they're under a couple $100, then that way I don't particularly think the plow drivers need to be getting in and out of their vehicles. I understand that part of it. Those are the only, and at the end of the year
Right,
they
keep
hand
them
it in.
safe in the storm versus
At the end
getting
of
out
the year they
slipping and
hand it in.
falling.
At the end of the year they
End
hand
of
it
the
in.
season, plow
And I
season.
don't mind. So my question is how many drivers do we have, including Pete? So is 4 enough, or do we need 6 for the highway department? That's what I'm asking. Is 4 enough? Can you ask Charlie that? Would 4 be enough for him for all of his plow guys, or does he need 2 more?
Yeah.
And then we need to create a policy that they bring them back and sign them out at the end of the year. And if they don't bring them back, maybe hold them accountable for buying
Right.
new ones or something. We need to create.
Which was, you know, Charlie and I had sort of started the dialogue with, you know, which was going to be better for the town, to have the key codes that,
I think
you
the
know,
plow drivers, it'd be easier for them to have the clickers. That's just my
yeah, I
opinion.
mean, certainly it's easier, you know, is it in the best interest of the town, you know?
He doesn't
I
want to
mean-
give them to him, and he wants to make them get in and out. That's him. I just figured I'd help him out a little bit.
I mean, you can see where they're putting,
Now that's an automatic exit. When you come to it on the out, when you're coming to it to exit, it's going to open no matter what. You don't have to enter the key code
Right.
again. So it's only going in.
Yeah.
So they're only going to have to get out of their truck to go in and get salt.
right.
So okay. I mean, if Charlie's okay with doing the key code,
Well, I
obviously
mean-
him and Pete will have one.
Right, and he wanted to, you know, weigh the costs also, so to see which would really be best. So, I mean, it is a conversation
Also,
that we have
This is
started.
another question too, about clickers. Are we okay with allowing like certain vendors to purchase their own clicker if they want one? Like, so for instance, like East Coast Compactor, if he wants to purchase a clicker so he can go in and out without stopping to enter a key code, would we allow that? I mean, it's just questions to ask, or we just want a strictly key code for everybody. Because some vendors are in and out quite often, that it may be more beneficial for them to have a clicker. And
And I
I mean, we can make them purchase them, obviously, we don't have to purchase it for them.
Because they'll just pass it on to us when they bill us for their services.
Right.
We don't have to, we can do strictly key codes and make them go in and do the key code, that was the purpose of it. But
Yeah,
like,
well, why don't you just give them a key code?
that's fine, I'm just asking, because you're gonna have vendors that are gonna be like, well, it'd be easier if I had a clicker.
Well, you
can I
know,
purchase it?
if you're a vendor, you're providing a service to the town that we're paying for, so they can get in and out of the truck if we're paying them.
All right, that works.
I mean, they may not, I mean, once the key codes or the keypads installed, it may not be all that.
Plus, they come a lot when we're open too.
Right.
So that, and it's gonna be, I know I've said it a million times, but it needs to be set to the transfer station hours. Sometimes things tend to get misinterpreted down at the highway department with certain projects. Let's hope it don't happen with this one.
And the only other item that I have is New Hampshire retirement system hearing for the prior employee is tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And New Hampshire Retirement has suggested that I be present. So,
Prior employee.
you weren't here last week, but I had previously updated you. Nope, it's an employee who is indicating that they worked full-time, and I have found some documentation that when this individual worked in the 1980s, it was a part-time police department. They had not yet moved to full-time employment there. The town's attorney would normally go. She doesn't know if she will be available, and she felt that it would be better if I went and she would try to make it also, so that I could present the information to them.
You don't mind going?
No, I don't mind. So that's 1 o'clock. I don't know how long the hearings typically go for.
Is it
When's
just
that?
that person?
Tomorrow?
It's probably go like,
Yeah.
Tomorrow,
probably go like 35 minutes to an hour.
Where is it?
New Hampshire Retirement System.
Yeah, where is that?
It's off a regional drive.
Yep, Regional
Oh,
Drive in
Concord.
Concord. Right.
Anything else?
Nope, that's all I got.
All right, I got a couple. I know, just for some clarifications, I had reached out to Kate on July 25th about, obviously we're not going to go forward with the Narrows project, anymore. I had asked that the stuff that was taken down get put back up that was taken down before we had decided to build. And then on August 15th, I got an updated email saying that within 10 days, the railing that is a safety issue would be replaced. Correct me if I'm wrong, as of last night, it wasn't replaced?
The railing's not. We've been working on the other stuff.
Okay, I'm not really concerned about the other stuff, to be honest with you. It's the
Is that
railing.
an OSHA?
The railing is what
Says
concerns me.
If somebody falls off that, is that
It's
an
the
OSHA
railing that
violation?
concerns me. The cabinets and all that stuff I'm not concerned about. It's the railing that concerns me.
The railing was rickety to begin with.
I understand
So we
that.
have it, but we're not gonna put that railing up.
Right. I guess what I'd like is said it would be replaced in 10 days. We need to get it replaced. I understand you want a new one. I'm fine with that. But let's get it done, please, because I don't want somebody falling. And let's just get it done as soon as we possibly can. Even if you have to put something temporary sturdy till you get something better that you want, just something that that covers our liability. That's my concern. The cabinets and stuff, I understand you want to move them around, and I'm fine with that. That doesn't bother me anymore. It's really the railing for somebody falling that concerns me. Roadside mowing. What's going on with that?
That I have
It's gonna be
not.
snowing here shortly.
That I have not gotten an
I don't
update
know,
from
we
Charlie
went today,
on.
it was over 90.
I'm not saying tomorrow, but I mean, growing season for grass is going to be over pretty soon.
No, actually, the best time to plant a lawn is right now.
Yeah, but it's okay. So my question is it even been scheduled to be done? I know we paid for it to be done.
Yeah, I can follow up with Charlie. I don't have the answer to that.
Okay, so then my next one is any more updates on the ditching? Besides, is it just Golf Road that's done still? Is that the only road that's done still?
Yes.
So we have
The
two.
only one on the list. He had, due to the heavy rains at the beginning of August, he had to do some on Bow Lake Road. So that was sort of.
Golf Road needs to be redone too.
Yeah, and the dump truck, he needs to bring material to Gulf Road, and he needs the dump truck for it, so with the
Golf Road,
dump
he has to
truck
wait
being...
till now after Labor Day because they're going to be starting their paving on Labor Day.
Yeah.
They'll never get over there.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
They'll
point.
never get over there.
That's a good point, I don't know, I'll have to bring that up
My
to him.
concern is, and this goes back to the 2.5 months we tried to get a schedule out of them, is that we have now 23 working days until October 1st, when he said they would all be done. And we've only got one road of the 13 that needs to be done.
Yeah.
That concerns me. This is the whole reason why we wanted the schedule in the beginning, so we know how far we were behind. Primex update. been about a month since we had that special meeting, and I haven't heard an update on what they
Right.
wanted us to do.
Rick Alpers actually just emailed me yesterday afternoon, and he indicated that they have just about finished the preparation of the report out of the workshop, and they will be getting me that midweek next week.
Can we possibly get an updated schedule for the ditching? Because it's obviously, I think it's going to go past October 1st now. I understand, as far as Golf Road, I understand it's probably going to be a while because that's way on the other side of town. And he did attempt to do it, it just,
Right.
the rain blew it all back out. It wasn't that he didn't try to do it, it just didn't work out.
I mean, where the ditching on Gulf Road comes down the hill, however, I mean, I know that there's going to be some challenges to get over there, but I think before it gets any worse, it should be.
Oh, have you been over there? My
a couple
concern
weeks
is,
ago at this point.
you should probably take a ride over there. And this is probably from years of runoff in the way that hill works. But the concern is that bridge right there, the way the water runs down, it is now eating away at the corner of the tar right at the bridge at the bottom of that hill. And he did a halfway decent job when he was over there. The problem was I think he must have did it right before we had that torrential rain, and none of the dirt got a chance to settle. All the rock stayed there, but all the gravel is now gone again.
Yeah.
Which you can't control that. That wasn't something he did wrong. It just now it's getting.
Would it help to put some of those bigger
He's
rocks?
got the big rocks are there. Where you can see where he did it, and he put the gravel in the big rocks, and basically the gravel didn't get a chance to settle before we got torrential rain, and it just blew it right back out. Like, in other words, he probably ditched it, and it rained that same night.
Right. And that was the heavy rains that came through that caused all the trees to be down
Right.
all over town.
Right, that was right. That
Right.
is exactly. That's probably exactly what happened. Is he did it either the day before or maybe the day of that we had the rain, and it just blew the dirt right back out.
Right.
I think that's all I got. Oh, we had talked about this when we were talking about hiring the new transfer station attendant. Did those two get recertified? Or when are they supposed
We
to go?
submitted the checks and the registrations for, I can't remember the date in September, but they're both scheduled to get the certification. I want to say it's mid-September is the class, but Sandy has processed the checks.
Why we're doing that? Is there somebody else in town that we maybe, for this problem that we have coming up now with them on vacation, that may consider just going so we have a third person that could fill in? Maybe if the person that's gonna fill in on this weekend says, hey, I wouldn't mind doing it as like a fill-in, because it's pretty obvious we're not getting a lot of response on that.
We're getting no response.
So this is the other question that I'm going on, is most people don't want to take this class because it's 8 hours of boredom. You don't technically need it to work there because you can work under somebody else's
Do they
certification.
get paid for taking the class?
We pay them.
Yeah. So
But, listen, let me finish this. We had a really good candidate that didn't want to take the class. He could technically work under the supervisor's certification legally and not need his. So we could fill that position without making them go and do that. At $10 an hour, question is do you want to let somebody work under, it doesn't change the fact that you can open, he can work under either one of them's certifications. That's
What
what,
is the class
that's
that
what
you
Charlie,
teach?
nothing.
well,
Really, it's not much.
Well, that's something.
No, you basically go there and I've gone to one, I went to one every year for 14 years. And it's something different every year. They'll teach you, one year they taught me how to look for, and this is no joke, they taught me how to look for trash that may have been used to create crystal meth. And I'm serious, that's how they taught me. And then they taught you how to look for these little incandescent batteries in certain containers. They teach you to look for things that you don't normally look for. But other than that, it's not much. It doesn't train you how to do anything down there.
So
except
why
for-
is the job required? I mean, the class required for the job.
It's state requires.
Yeah.
State requires at least one person there to have one. Like, so in other words, Sunday, for instance, say we don't get somebody that works there, you could go there and work underneath his certification. That's what Charlie and Pete do when they fill in, because they're not certified. So to hire somebody to do that same thing is basically the same thing of doing what we're doing when we have Charlie and Pete down there. So you let a good somebody that wanted to work not get the job because of a certification that we really didn't need.
Unless that third thing that didn't have certification was there on a Saturday and we had to have
Still
them
work,
Charlie. come
we
in
could
and
still
do
work,
everything else
we can
there.
still work underneath their certification even if that employee is not there. It's weird. It's
Entirely at the
weird.
board's discretion.
It's weird because we fought it for so many years. Once you get one, they're super easy to keep. You just gotta go to a meeting, you gotta go to one meeting every year, and it's the 8-hour meeting in the beginning it's horrid. It's awful. Sitting up there in Concord for 8 hours is awful. That's it. I'm gonna have nothing else. Non-public, I guess.
Well,
Oh,
so we have
citizens
citizen
forum.
forum.
Second round citizens forum. Anybody? Rick, come on up.
I'd just like to say, you guys seem like you're on a spending frenzy. Seems like money is just pouring into this town. You guys got a dream of a new fire station for $5, $6, $7, $8 million. You know, there's a lot of other things in this town. That building right over there, if you fix the roof on it, you're throwing good money after bad money. Before you put any money in that building, you need to get somebody to come in and do an air quality study. If you put kids in that building, someone's going to die. It's full of mold. It's full of rot. It is a mess. And to think about putting kids in that building would be a big mistake on your part. I know it's an old building. It's part of town. But it's a long ways from anybody using it as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, it's going to be, that big thing needs to be basically overhauled to be
The
used.
floor is falling out of the place. I mean, it's rotted. It needs work. And before it can be used, it needs to be fixed right. Another thing, our trucks are in horrible shape.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
put $10,000 in that dump truck in the last year.
That was why I asked the question on whether or not that was the one that we're voting on this year.
Right.
But to her point, we do need it.
And now, it's in another garage. There was one quote, not multiple quotes. We have a policy. We need to follow our policy. Another thing, I'll go back to the trucks. When it comes to inspection time, you guys better have $5,000 to $8,000. I looked at that 1 ton today. The windshield's broke, the brakes on the front are junk, it needs tires, the bed's falling off it. I mean, our trucks are in horrible shape.
Why did we let it get to this?
Our roads were in horrible shape. And you're more worried about building a fire station that won't pass for 2 or 3 years, so we need to really look at what we're doing. I think we're going down the wrong path. Thank you.
Anybody else? Come on up.
What are the next steps for any of the sealed bids?
I don't know what you're planning on bidding on, but basically whatever you're bidding on, you write on what you're bidding on, put it in an envelope, and you can come and deliver it.
No, like the ones that were just open today.
All right, we're gonna graph them because we didn't
Throw them on a spreadsheet.
We're gonna throw them on a spreadsheet, and then Tuesday, I think we can do that real quick, next Tuesday.
Well, we'll throw them on a spreadsheet,
And then we can
when we
go-
look at who put in the highest bid,
And then we can compare
and
it
then
to.
if we actually,
Go ahead.
if some of the bids are too, like if we deem some of the bids too low, we might decide to keep the property.
So basically, we're gonna take your bid and compare it to the assessed value, and if it's within reason where we feel it's comfortable to sell it to whoever bid on it, then we would sell it to that person. But where we didn't have all that information tonight, more than likely, we can make we can have 2 things on next Tuesday's meeting.
Okay,
No more though.
got it.
Not even a manifest. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, obviously.
Come in after the fact.
I'm kidding, obviously. I'm obviously joking. But that's the next step. We gotta look at the numbers and then go from there. So if you're interested, you can come next Tuesday. We start at 5:30. It'll probably be real quick. It won't be as long as tonight. And then if you actually put in a bid and that's what you're waiting for, maybe we'll have a decision for whether yes or no on that particular property next week. Does that answer your question?
Or
Awesome. Anybody else? Come on up, Rick.
I'd like to speak to those bids. One of those lots in Harvey Lake, a guy owns in the button lot. Right now, there's nothing on it.
That
He
Oak
wants to
Street?
buy the abutting lot next door.
That the
When
Oak
he
Street?
buys this abutting lot, he shouldn't be allowed to enjoin it to that lot to make another lot.
Is that,
You mean,
And that's what you guys need to watch out for.
oh wait,
what's going
if he takes the abutting lot and compares it, and puts it to the other lot, and then all of a sudden it's a buildable lot, because it meets the town standards, why
Yeah,
should
you're
we-
gonna sell it to him for $1,000.
Well,
He
we
offered
haven't
$1,000.
decided that yet.
We haven't decided.
We haven't
No,
decided
I'm
that
just
yet.
using that as an example. He owns one lot, he bought for $2,000. Now he's gonna buy this other lot, he's gonna join it to a lot, he's gonna build a house in this town because he's a builder. He's gonna put kids in this school, and he's gonna walk out of this town and laugh at all three of you guys.
But we haven't
He's gonna
said
buy
that.
a lot for $3,000. He's done it once, he's done it twice, and he'll do it again. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
When I was on the board, we decided we weren't selling any more lots in there, period, because we didn't want them built on. And now you guys are gonna sell lots and let this happen.
we haven't decided to sell them yet.
I mean,
Ridiculous.
the process now has changed to build on those lots.
Can we just take public comment?
Sure. Yeah.
Any more? Seeing none? Or do you want to let her speak now?
This is taking
That's
public
fine.
comment, so.
Okay, so I guess we'll move into non-public then, if we're done with public comment, nobody else has public comment. Want to make a motion?
Make a motion to go into non-public on
Do we
the,
have anything before? Because I think.
No, you can take it first.
well,
give us a
no,
few minutes
I
first.
want a few
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll make a motion to go into non-public on the RSA 91A:3, paragraph 2, A and C.
Second.
Roll call, Donald Hutchins, aye.
Scott Breyer, aye.
Beth Boudreaux, aye.
We're now non-public.
I'd like to make a motion to come out of non-public.
I second that.
Roll call, Donald Hutchins, aye.
Scott Breyer, aye.
Beth Boudreaux, aye.
We are now out of non-public.
I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned.